So now we have a client and a server, and they're talking to each other. But really not talking to each other. The client's yelling at the server's doing what they're said. They're not giving an exchange of information. They're not having a conversation. So what if we want the server to acknowledge what's being said to it? We want to send some information to the server, but we want the server to send something back. Well, we already know how to do this. On the client side, we have this print writer. So we can go and actually copy this line of code. And we can go through the server and we can paste this line of code inside of here. You see, when I do that, it's asking, do I want to import the class? Sure, that's fine. So I've now pasted in the out right there. And since I named socket the same on both sides, you can see I named the socket itself socket. It literally just takes that line of code and uses it the exact same way. I don't have to. This could be whatever the name of the socket is that I brought it in if I named it differently. But now I'm going to the socket that the server got, and I'm opening up an output stream, and that allows me to go and send something to it. Now the order is slightly important here. Sometimes if you open the output before you open the input, it'll get stuck. So you want to open the input and say, hey, I'm going to be receiving first, and then you open the output and go from there. So it's slightly important sometimes. It's a little bit glitchy, but for the most part, I always open the output after I open the input if I'm expecting to receive an input first. All right, so I have my output here, and so when I receive a line here, I'm going to do something with the line. Then let's say I want to respond. So I could say out.println, thanks for your comments. Okay, so at this point, the server is saying something back to the client. Now let me show you something interesting here. If I run the server, see it's starting up, and then I run the client, right-click, run file, it's going to run OK, and it's going to run OK here. Wait a minute. What did it do with the response? Well, it didn't do anything with the response. I basically was talking into a phone that the other person only has a microphone. They have no speaker by which I can hear anything. So nothing happened to it. It's communication happened, but it didn't happen the way I expected it to happen. This is not a problem from Java's standpoint. This is a problem from a design standpoint, if you were expecting the client to do something with it. So again, this is moving past the language will guide you and everything you want to do. This is into you need to design and test the behavior that you're expecting to have happen. So a little bit of a shift here as we're getting into more complicated applications. So on this client side, if we want to receive that information, I have to receive it. So I get it buffered in here. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to paste this down here. So again, it's asking me if I want to import these things. Sure, I'll import them. They're exactly what I want. And so I'm going to open my outwriter, and then I'm going to open my in. It's the same socket because I happen to same variable name here. I'm getting the input stream. I'm converting that into an input stream reader to go from ones and zeros into text. That's what this guy does. And then for that text, it's going to read it in one line at a time, which is what the buffered reader does. And it allows me to do that. So after I send hello server, I'm expecting to receive something. So let's say I throw in this one line of code. Let's just test it, make sure everything's still running. I go and run my server. I can do that up here. I can go and run my client. Do that right here. And this still works, and this still works. Good, no trouble. I haven't broken anything. I like to do this perpetually just to make sure my code is constantly working, make sure it's constantly being happy inside of this. All right, so here is an interesting bit now. So let's go through and say I want to receive whatever he has to say. So I can say, I send something over. I can say in dot readline, string answer is equal to in dot readline right here, and I can do system dot out dot println server says plus answer. Boom. There you go. So I'm sending him something. I'm going to get a response back, and I'm going to print out what it says. I'm going to send him something else. So let's see what this does here. So I run my server. Server's up and running. I right-click, run my client. Wait. It's stuck. It's not doing anything. Well, what happened here? That's kind of confusing. That's kind of frustrating. Well, what happened here is a design fault by me. So if I trace through this line of code, and I see what's happening here, I can do it mentally and try and get a feel for it, or I can do it actually. So the reality is I'm stuck. They're not going to go anywhere. They're not going to do anything. The only way I can do this is say run and stop. And I have both of these out there. I can select them both and I can stop them. So again, let me show you what I did here. I went to the run menu and I hit stop, and it shows me everything that's running. I can stop them. So I killed them. You see they both were sitting there hanging. They would have continued to hang forever unless I killed them or closed NetBeans or something like that. All right. So what happened here is we can see on the server I got a connection, and I'm going to guess it must have been waiting for a read line here, right? Because it didn't print it out. If I got the read line, it would print out. So if I go over here, I can put some print lines out here too. So, well, let's just put a bunch of them. Just copy this here. Oops. Start client. So this is, I don't say poor man's debugging. It's a perfectly valid debugging. It's debugging that you have to take out. All right, so now I can say open connections and send message, and then receive response. All right, yeah, and then we'll do one more. Send again. All right, so now I've put in a bunch of messages. I know I probably type fast if you're trying to keep up, but you can always pause it and catch up to what I've done. But here's the messages I'm sending here to give me a feel for what's going on. So if I go through and run my server, say it's starting up. I run my client, right click, run my client. You can see I started the client, so I went past this line of code. I opened the connection, I went past these lines of code. I say send message, I went past these lines of code. I say receive response, and it's waiting for the response. So this guy is currently receiving a response, waiting for the received response, where this guy got a connection, so it got past this line of code, and it hasn't received its input yet. So what's going on? Well, quite simply, to me, you might not see it yet, what happened is I am receiving a response before I sent the message. I didn't flush. That's the key right here. So just because I did a system.out, out.println line here, doesn't mean I sent it. If I did a couple of them in a row, basically just saying I wrote many lines on my piece of paper before I put it in an envelope. So I need to flush it before I go get a response. So when I say receive a response, let me move that after my flush and then see what happens. Because I'm not actually sending again here. But I'll just leave it as that. So I need to go off and run and stop this again. I need to stop both of them again. I'm going to run my cycle here. Again, remember what I did was I moved my response down to the bottom. I'm going to run my server. I'm going to run my client. All right, so the socket fun says hello server, many things to say. And my, I'm looking to receive response, but I'm not receiving the response. They're both hung again. It's better because I sent the message and the server received the message, but I'm not getting any response back. Guess what? We made the same mistake we did when we were doing the client. You might not remember it, but this is the process of debugging. It's going step by step, getting by one problem and discovering the next problem or 10 other problems that are out there. I might fix one thing and discover nothing else works. I had a huge error that was in the way. And my huge error in the way in this way is I did not, when I did out.println, I didn't do a flush. It's not a file. I have to flush it here. I have to tell it when to go. It's the internet. I said, okay, I'm done. Go ahead and send it. So now I have to kill them both again. Let me run the server. Let me run the client. And there you go. The server says, thank you for your comments. I ran, built successfully. The server, there you go. Many things to say, and it got back to that. So now we have two-way communication. Text communication. We're sending messages back and forth. We're not really doing much outside of printing text to screen, but we still have that communication. Now we can do something with that communication where we so inclined. Okay, so there's the next evolution. We're not going to stop there. We got tons of things we can do with this, but we're inching our way along, and hopefully you're getting to some of this debugging. Again, you should get your application to do all of this stuff before continuing on. Especially if you're new, just play it back and forth. Make sure you can do it. Don't just type in these lines of code. Walk through the process the way I did it and see if you can replicate those lines without typing exactly in, and then go back and look at it. It's okay to go back and cheat, but try and expand your thoughts before you do that. It's not really cheating. It's just helping yourself along. And remember, you can always come to the live chats or email me your code, and we can look at that as well. Just keep working at this point. All right, so we'll continue on, but that's it for this video.